They said the cabin was worthless, until his dog refused to leave the floor, and what they uncovered beneath it exposed a secret someone was willing to kill for. Logan Hayes thought the letter was a mistake. A forgotten cabin in the mountains, left behind by a grandmother he barely remembered. Nothing but dust, silence, and a past he never asked for. But the moment his German shepherd, Titan, stepped inside, everything changed. The dog wouldn't stop staring at the floor, wouldn't stop listening. And that was the moment Logan realized. This place wasn't abandoned. It was waiting. Before we go further, tell me where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. The rain had been falling since before sunrise, slow and steady, tapping against the cracked window like a memory that refused to fade. While Logan Hayes sat in his worn recliner, staring out at the gray street of Cedar Vale, Colorado. The world outside looked washed out, drained of color, like a photograph left too long in the sun. Inside, nothing moved except the clock on the wall, and even that sounded too loud. Tick, tick, tick. Logan's fingers tightened slightly around the chipped ceramic mug in his hand. The coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he hadn't noticed. He rarely noticed things like that anymore. What he did notice were the sounds that didn't belong. A car backfiring 3 streets over made his shoulders tense instantly. His breath caught. For a split second, he wasn't in Cedar Vale anymore. He was back there, sand in his teeth, smoke in the air, the crack of gunfire echoing between concrete walls. Logan blinked hard, forcing the image away. Yet the living room returned slowly. The faded carpet, the peeling paint, the quiet hum of an old refrigerator in the kitchen. Easy, he muttered under his breath. A soft movement near the door caught his attention. Titan lifted his head. The German shepherd had been lying on a worn rug by the entrance, but his ears were already alert, his eyes fixed on Logan. Always watching, always ready. Logan exhaled slowly and reached down, brushing a hand along the dog's thick fur. There was a scar beneath it, one he knew by heart. Shrapnel. Years ago. Same day Titan had pulled him out of a burning convoy. "Yeah, I'm all right," Logan said quietly. Titan didn't move. He never trusted words alone. Only patterns. Only truth. Another rumble of distant thunder rolled across the sky, low and heavy. Titan's ears twitched, but he didn't flinch. Well, not anymore. They'd both learned how to survive noise, just not silence. Silence was worse. Logan leaned back in the chair, eyes drifting to the corner of the room where a small wooden box sat untouched. Inside were things he never opened anymore. Dog tags, medals, a folded flag, pieces of a life that didn't fit in this room. He hadn't spoken to anyone in 3 days. Not that there was anyone to call. The town had moved on long ago, and so had everyone who used to know him. To them, Logan Hayes was just another old man who fixed fences for cash and kept to himself. To himself, he wasn't sure what he was anymore. A sharp knock broke the silence. Logan froze. Not loud, not aggressive, just wrong. Titan was already on his feet, low, silent. His body angled toward the door, muscles tight, eyes locked. But a faint growl built deep in his chest. Not loud enough to alarm, just enough to warn. Logan set the mug down slowly. "No one comes here," he whispered. The knock didn't come again. That was worse. Logan stood, joints stiff, and moved toward the door with careful steps. Every instinct in him was awake now, the old training sliding back into place like it had never left. He stopped just short of the handle. Listened. Nothing. Rain. Wind. The faint creak of the house settling. He reached out and opened the door. The porch was empty. Cold air drifted in, carrying the scent of wet pavement and pine from the hills beyond town. The street was deserted, but something sat on the doormat. A single envelope. White. Clean. Too clean for a day like this. Logan crouched slowly, eyes scanning the yard, the street, the rooftops. Well, no movement, no cars, no sign of anyone leaving. Titan stepped forward beside him, nose low, sniffing the air. His tail stayed still. His ears didn't relax. Logan picked up the envelope. It was heavier than it looked. Typed lettering stared back at him. Hayes, Logan, no return address. No handwriting. Just that name. His name. A strange tension settled in his chest. He hadn't seen his name printed like that in years. Not since the military. Not since things still made sense. Logan stepped back inside and shut the door, sliding the lock into place with a quiet click. Titan didn't move away from him. At the kitchen table, Logan turned the envelope over in his hands. The paper felt thick, expensive, official. He reached for the drawer and pulled out an old folding knife. The blade flicked open with a soft snap, while his hand trembled slightly. He noticed that. Didn't like it. "Get a grip," he muttered. The knife slid cleanly through the seal. Inside was a folded document. And something else, a smaller card. Logan unfolded the paper first. His eyes moved across the lines slowly, then stopped, then went back to the top. He read it again, and again. The words didn't change. "We regret to inform you," his jaw tightened. "Evelyn Hayes." The name felt distant, like something half-remembered, a face he couldn't quite place, a voice he hadn't heard in decades. His grandmother. Or at least, that's what he'd been told. As the sole surviving next of kin, Logan leaned back slightly, the chair creaking under his weight. "You have been named the beneficiary of her property located in Red Hollow, Colorado." Property. He almost laughed. Well, what property? No one in his family had ever owned anything worth leaving behind. He looked at the smaller card. A simple address. Coordinates, more than anything else. Deep in the mountains. Red Hollow. Logan's gaze drifted toward the window again. The rain had started to lighten, but the sky remained heavy, pressing low over the hills in the distance. Something about it didn't sit right. Evelyn Hayes. He tried to remember her. All he could recall was a feeling. Distance. Silence. His mother had never spoken about her much. Only once, maybe twice. Always in short sentences. Always with a tone that meant, "Don't ask." "She left," his mother had said once. That was it. No explanation. No story. Just absence. Logan rubbed a hand over his face. "Why now?" he murmured. Titan stepped closer, nudging his hand gently. As Logan looked down at him, the dog's eyes were steady, calm, watching, always watching. "What do you think, huh?" Logan said quietly. "A cabin in the mountains." Titan tilted his head slightly. Logan let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh. Probably falling apart. Just wood and dust. Titan didn't react. His gaze shifted, just for a second, toward the door, then back to Logan. That was enough. A small knot formed in Logan's chest. Not fear. Not yet. Just awareness. Like something had shifted. Like a door had opened somewhere he couldn't see. Logan folded the paper carefully and set it on the table. His eyes lingered on the address. Red Hollow. The name itself felt heavy. Outside, the clouds shifted slightly, letting a thin beam of light break through for just a moment, to touch the distant ridgeline before disappearing again. Logan stared at it, then at the letter. then back at Titan. "Guess we're going for a drive," he said. Titan's ears perked instantly, the first sign of life in him all morning. Logan noticed that too, and for the first time in a long while something stirred inside his chest. Not hope, not yet, but movement. The kind that comes before everything changes. The rain finally began to fade, leaving behind a quiet that felt different from before. He didn't trust it. Neither did Titan. And somewhere far beyond the town, hidden in the mountains of Red Hollow, something waited. Not buried, not forgotten, just waiting. The road to Red Hollow wasn't on most maps. Logan noticed that about 20 miles past the last gas station, the paved highway narrowed into a cracked 2-lane stretch, then into a gravel road that twisted up into the mountains like something alive. Pine trees grew thicker the higher they climbed, their dark green needles swallowing the sky. Titan sat upright in the passenger seat of the old pickup, eyes forward, body still. He hadn't relaxed once since they left town. Logan kept both hands on the wheel, knuckles pale against the worn leather. The tires crunched over loose rock, each turn sharper than the last. The truck groaned under the incline, engine protesting with a low, steady hum. "Not much out here," Logan muttered. No houses, no fences, no signs of life. Just trees. Endless trees. The air changed too. Colder. Thinner. It carried a scent Logan hadn't noticed in years. Earth, pine, and something older. Something untouched. The Titan shifted slightly. Logan glanced over. The dog's ears were forward now, locked on something beyond the windshield. His nose lifted, catching scents the human world couldn't read. "You smell that?" Logan asked. Titan didn't respond, but his posture said everything. Alert, focused, uneasy. The road narrowed again until it barely fit the width of the truck. Branches scraped against the sides, leaving faint lines across the faded paint. The sky above disappeared completely, replaced by a canopy of towering pines. Then, without warning, the trees opened. The cabin stood at the center of a clearing. Logan slowed the truck instinctively. It looked worse than he expected. The structure leaned slightly to one side, its wooden boards warped and darkened by years of weather. The roof sagged in the middle, shingles missing in uneven patches. A single window hung crooked, the glass cracked like a spider web. No smoke, no movement. Just silence. Logan parked the truck a few yards away and shut off the engine. The sudden quiet pressed in. No wind, no birds. Nothing. Titan didn't move. Logan noticed that. Usually Titan would have jumped out the moment the engine died, but now he remained still, eyes fixed on the cabin. "Go on," Logan said softly. Titan didn't. That was enough to make Logan's stomach tighten. He opened the door and stepped out. The ground beneath his boots was damp, soft from recent rain. Pine needles crunched underfoot. The air felt heavier here. He walked slowly toward the cabin, every step deliberate. Years of training never left a man like him. He scanned the windows, the tree line, as the shadows between branches. Nothing moved. Still, something felt off. Titan finally jumped down from the truck, but instead of walking beside Logan, he circled wide, keeping distance between himself and the cabin. His nose stayed low to the ground, tracing invisible paths. Logan stopped at the front door. It hung slightly ajar. A thin strip of darkness waited inside. He pushed it open. The hinges let out a long, slow creak. Inside, the cabin smelled of dust and damp wood. The light from outside barely reached beyond the doorway, leaving most of the room in shadow. What furniture remained was old and broken. Chairs missing legs, a table warped beyond use. A fireplace stood against the far wall. Stone, blackened, cold. Logan stepped inside. The floorboards groaned beneath his weight. Titan followed. But the moment his paws crossed the threshold, he froze. Logan turned. Titan's body had gone rigid. His gaze locked onto the fireplace. Not the room, not Logan. Just that spot. "Titan," Logan called quietly. No response. The dog took a slow step forward, then another, his movements cautious. A low sound rumbled in his chest. Not quite a growl, not quite a whine. Logan followed his gaze. The fireplace looked ordinary enough. Ash long gone. Stones cracked from years of neglect. But there was something about it. Something that didn't match the rest of the decay. Cleaner. Or maybe just less broken. Logan stepped closer. Titan moved ahead of him now, placing himself between Logan and the fireplace. Protective. Defensive. "Hey," Logan said, lowering his voice. "It's just a chimney." Titan didn't believe that. Logan could see it in his eyes. A faint sound broke the silence. Outside. Logan's head snapped toward the door. A low rumble echoed through the trees. An engine. Far off. But coming closer. Titan turned instantly, ears sharp, body tense. Logan stepped back toward the doorway and looked out. Through the trees, down the narrow road, a flicker of movement caught his eye. Headlights, barely visible between branches. Someone else was coming up the mountain. Logan's jaw tightened. "No one should know we're here," he muttered. The truck disappeared from view for a moment, swallowed by the curve of the road. Then it reappeared, slower now, crawling its way toward the clearing. Titan moved to Logan's side, standing close, shoulder brushing against his leg. The vehicle finally broke through the tree line. An old pickup. Dusty, with rust along the edges. It came to a stop a few yards away, engine idling. For a moment, neither side moved. Then the driver's door opened. An older man stepped out. Gray hair, weathered face, movements slow but steady. He didn't look surprised to see Logan. If anything, he looked like he'd been expecting him. The man closed the door and approached without rushing, boots crunching softly over the ground. Titan let out a low growl. "Easy," Logan murmured, but he didn't take his eyes off the stranger. The man stopped a few feet away. His gaze shifted briefly to Titan, then back to Logan. "You Hayes?" he asked. Logan nodded once. "Logan Hayes." The man exhaled slowly, almost like he'd been holding that breath for a long time. "Name's Earl Dawson," he said. "I live a couple miles down the ridge." Logan waited. Earl glanced toward the cabin, his expression tightening. "You got that letter, didn't you?" he said. Logan didn't answer. Didn't need to. Earl gave a small nod. "Figured you would." Silence stretched between them. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the tops of the trees, but down in the clearing, it barely touched the ground. Earl stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You shouldn't stay here." Logan's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why not?" Earl hesitated. Not because he didn't have an answer, because he didn't want to say it. "There are things in that cabin," he said finally. "Things that don't want to be found." Titan's growl deepened. Logan felt it too now, that quiet tension beneath the surface, like something pressing up from below. "Like what?" Logan asked. Earl shook his head. "Oh, it doesn't matter what I believe," he said. "What matters is, people have come up here before." Logan's gaze sharpened. "And?" Earl looked at the ground for a moment. "Most didn't stay long." The air seemed colder suddenly. Logan glanced back at the cabin, at the open door, at the fireplace inside. Titan stepped slightly forward, placing himself between Logan and both the cabin and Earl, watching both, protecting against both. Logan felt a strange pull in his chest. Fear, but not the kind that made him run, the kind that made him want to understand. "I'm not most people," Logan said quietly. Earl met his eyes. For a second, something like respect flickered there. Then it faded. "Maybe not," Earl said, "but whatever's here, it's been waiting a long time." Logan didn't respond. He didn't need to, because deep down, he already knew this place wasn't abandoned. It wasn't empty. And it definitely wasn't finished with him. Behind him, inside the cabin, Titan let out a sudden, sharp bark. Both men turned. The dog stood rigid again, facing the fireplace. Not moving, not blinking, just staring, like something beneath it had just moved. Logan stepped back into the cabin slowly, every instinct tightening inside him. The air felt different now, thicker, like the room itself was holding its breath. Titan didn't move. The dog stood frozen in front of the fireplace, eyes locked on the stone base. His ears were forward, his body tense, muscles coiled like a spring ready to snap. "Titan," Logan said quietly. No response, not even a glance. Logan moved closer, boots creaking against the warped wooden floor. And each step echoed louder than it should have, the sound bouncing off the walls and sinking into the silence. "What is it, boy?" Titan's head lowered slightly, nose twitching. Then came the sound again. A faint scrape. Not from above. From below. Logan froze. The noise was subtle, easy to miss. But it was there. A dragging sound, like wood shifting against wood. Or something moving under pressure. Titan let out a sharp bark, sudden and explosive in the stillness. Logan's heart kicked hard in his chest. "All right," he muttered. "All right." He crouched slowly, eyes scanning the base of the fireplace. The stones looked old, uneven, but something about the floor just in front of it caught his attention. One of the wooden planks didn't sit flush with the others. It dipped ever so slightly at the edge. Logan reached out and pressed it. The board shifted. Not much, but enough. Titan barked again, louder this time, stepping closer, his paw scraping against the wood as if urging Logan forward. "Easy," Logan said, though his voice had gone quieter. His pulse was steady but faster now, focused. He stood and moved toward the kitchen area, opening drawers until he found something useful. A rusted pry bar, half buried beneath old utensils. It would do. Back at the fireplace, Logan wedged the bar into the seam of the loose plank. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the wood gave with a dull crack. The board lifted. Dust rose into the air, catching the faint light from the doorway. Logan coughed once, waving it away as he pulled the plank free. Beneath it, darkness. A narrow space just deep enough to hide something. Titan leaned in immediately, sniffing hard, his tail stiff. Logan reached down slowly. His fingers brushed against cold metal. He tightened his grip and pulled. A box emerged from the hidden space. Rectangular, heavy, covered in a thin layer of dust that hadn't been disturbed in years, maybe decades. Logan set it on the floor. For a moment, he just stared at it. Something about this felt wrong. Not dangerous, but deliberate. Like someone had hidden it carefully, expecting it to be found, but only by the right person. Titan sat beside him now, eyes fixed on the box, his breathing slow but intense. Logan wiped the dust away with his sleeve. The surface was scratched, worn from time, but intact. No lock, no markings, just weight. He opened it. Inside were papers, stacks of them, old, yellowed at the edges, some bound together, others loose, and beneath them, a leather-bound journal. Logan picked it up. The cover cracked slightly as he opened it, the sound echoing softly in the room. Handwritten entries filled the pages. Neat, careful, precise. A woman's handwriting. His chest tightened. "Evelyn," he murmured. He flipped to the first page. The ink had faded slightly, but the words were still clear. June 14th, 1972. Logan swallowed. This had been hidden a long time. He scanned the first lines. "I don't know who will find this, but if you are reading it, then something has gone very wrong." Logan's fingers tightened on the page. Titan shifted slightly beside him, letting out a low, uneasy breath. Logan kept reading. "They are watching everything now. I made a mistake thinking the truth would be enough." The room seemed colder. Logan glanced over his shoulder instinctively, scanning the empty doorway, the windows, the shadows. Nothing. Just silence. He turned back to the journal. "Victor says I should have stayed quiet, that this isn't my fight. But I've seen the numbers. I've seen what they've done to those men, to the families who trusted them." Logan's jaw clenched. The words hit something deep inside him. Men. Families. Promises broken. He knew that story. Too well. Titan suddenly lifted his head, ears snapping toward the door. Logan froze. "What is it?" The dog didn't bark this time. He just listened. Then slowly, he stood and moved toward the entrance, placing himself between Logan and the outside world, guarding. Logan felt it again, that shift, like something unseen had just taken notice. He turned back to the journal. Flipped forward. More entries. Dates, names, numbers, references to accounts, transfers, missing funds, and one name that appeared again and again. Victor Kane. Logan's eyes narrowed. Kane. The name didn't mean anything to him. Not yet. But it would. He could feel it. He flipped further. The handwriting changed slightly toward the end. Less steady, more urgent. "I don't have much time. If they find this, it's over. But I can't let it disappear." Logan's breathing slowed. Focused. Controlled. Years of training guiding him back to center. He reached the final page and stopped. A single sentence sat there, written darker than the rest, pressed harder into the paper. "If you're reading this, they know you're here." Logan stared at the words. A chill moved through him, not the sharp kind, but something deeper, just something that settled into his bones. Titan let out a low growl. Logan closed the journal slowly. His mind was already working, piecing things together. Hidden box, old records, names, and now, that warning. Outside, the wind shifted. Branches creaked softly against one another. Logan stood, holding the journal in one hand, the rest of the documents still scattered on the floor. He looked toward the door, then back at the fireplace. This place wasn't just abandoned. It had been used, carefully, deliberately, and whatever had been hidden here was never meant to stay buried forever. Titan stepped closer again, pressing lightly against Logan's leg, grounding him. Logan placed a hand on the dog's head. "Yeah," he said quietly. "We just stepped into something." His eyes drifted to the open doorway. To the trees beyond, to the unseen road winding down the mountain. Somewhere out there, people existed who knew about this. People who had buried it. People who might not want it found again. Logan's grip tightened on the journal. For the first time since arriving, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt watched, and whatever had been hidden beneath that floor was only the beginning. Logan didn't sleep that night. The mountain air grew colder as darkness settled over Red Hollow, pressing against the cabin like a living thing. The wind returned in slow, uneven gusts, slipping through cracks in the walls and whispering along the floorboards. Every sound felt sharper, every shadow deeper. Logan sat at the small wooden table, the journal open in front of him. A lantern cast a dim circle of light across the pages, leaving the corners of the room swallowed in darkness. Titan lay nearby, but not fully at rest. His head stayed up, his eyes stayed open. Watching, always watching. Logan turned another page carefully, his fingers tracing the faded ink. The entries grew more detailed the further he read. Numbers, transactions, names. Too many names. But one stood out. Again. And again. Victor Kane. Logan leaned back slightly, exhaling through his nose. "Who the hell are you?" he murmured. Titan's ears twitched at the tone, but he didn't move. Logan flipped back a few pages, scanning the entries with sharper focus now. Transferred through third-party accounts, flagged but ignored. Families never notified. Funds diverted under emergency provisions. Logan's jaw tightened. He'd seen things like this before. War didn't just leave scars on the battlefield. It left them in paperwork, in quiet decisions made far from the front lines. Decisions that never made headlines. He turned another page. The handwriting changed again, tighter, more rushed. "They're closing in, I can feel it. Victor came himself today." He smiled like nothing was wrong. Logan's eyes narrowed. Came himself. That meant proximity. This wasn't some distant figure. Victor Kane had been here, in this cabin. The lantern flickered slightly, the flame bending with a sudden draft. Titan's head snapped toward the window. Logan followed his gaze. The glass reflected only darkness. But something in the dog's posture made Logan's chest tighten. "Nothing there," Logan said quietly. Titan didn't relax. Logan looked back down at the journal, but his senses were split now, half on the page, half on the world outside. He kept reading. "I should have listened. I thought truth would protect me. I thought the system would correct itself." A pause in the writing, a smudge of ink like the pen had lingered too long. "I was wrong." Logan swallowed. The words felt heavier now. Not just information, a confession, a warning. He turned to the final section of the journal, pages that hadn't been read in decades. "I've hidden everything. Not here, not where they expect. If anyone finds this, follow the markers. Trust what you see, not what they tell you." Logan frowned slightly. Markers? He flipped through the remaining pages. Nothing. No map. No clear direction. Just fragments. Clues. And that same name repeating like a shadow that refused to fade. Victor Kane. Logan closed the journal slowly. The silence returned. But it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt occupied. Titan stood up suddenly. Not barking, not growling, just moving, slowly, toward the front door. Logan watched him. "What is it?" Titan stopped at the door, head tilted slightly, listening. Then, without warning, he stepped back. One step, two. His body lowered slightly, alert, defensive. Logan stood. Every nerve in his body lit up. He moved toward the door quietly, each step controlled. His breathing slowed automatically, falling into the rhythm he hadn't used in years. In, hold, out. He reached the door, listened. At first, nothing. Then, gravel. A faint crunch. Outside. Logan's eyes sharpened. Someone was there. Titan let out a low, warning growl, while Logan's hand moved instinctively to his side. No weapon. Just memory. He reached for the door slowly, opened it. The night air rushed in, cold and sharp. The clearing was dark, lit only by the faint glow of the lantern behind him. The trees stood like silent watchers, their outlines barely visible against the sky. No one. Logan stepped out onto the porch, listened. The wind shifted again. And there, movement. At the edge of the trees, a shadow, too far to make out clearly, but real. Logan's muscles tensed. "Hey!" he called out. No response. The shadow didn't move closer, didn't run. It just stood there, watching. Titan stepped forward beside Logan, his growl deepening. The air between them and the tree line felt stretched thin. Then, the shadow was gone. Not running, not turning, just gone, but like it had never been there. Logan stepped forward instinctively, but Titan blocked him, a firm nudge against his leg. "Don't." Logan stopped, listened again. Nothing. Only the wind. Only the trees. Only the quiet. He stood there for a long moment before finally stepping back inside and closing the door. The latch clicked into place. Too loud, too final. Titan stayed near the door, watching, guarding. Logan moved back to the table, but he didn't sit. His eyes drifted to the journal, to the name. Victor Kane. The pieces were starting to connect now. A hidden cabin, stolen funds, a woman who tried to expose it, and someone who had come here tonight. Watching, waiting. Logan picked up the journal again. This wasn't just history. It wasn't just a story buried in old paper. It was still alive. Yes, and whatever Victor Kane had started all those years ago hadn't ended. Logan's grip tightened slightly. "All right," he said under his breath. Titan turned toward him. Logan met the dog's eyes. "We're not leaving." Titan didn't move, but the tension in his body shifted. Less uncertainty, more readiness, as if he understood, as if he agreed. Outside, the wind picked up again, sweeping through the clearing with a low, hollow sound. And somewhere beyond the trees, someone was already planning their next move. Morning came slow in Red Hollow. A thin gray light filtered through the cracks in the cabin walls, stretching across the floor like something unsure of entering. The cold had settled deep into the wood overnight, clinging to every surface. Logan hadn't slept. He sat in the same chair, the journal closed now, while resting beside his hand. His eyes were open but distant, locked somewhere between memory and instinct. Titan was already awake. He stood near the window, watching the tree line, unmoving. The first light didn't soften him. If anything, it made his posture sharper. Logan rubbed his face slowly. Every muscle in his body felt tight, not from exhaustion, from readiness. "Yeah," he muttered quietly. They were here. Titan's ears flicked slightly. Logan stood and walked to the door, opening it just enough to step outside. The air was colder than the day before, the ground still damp beneath his boots. He scanned the clearing. The truck sat where he left it. No damage, no sign of forced entry. But near the edge of the tree line, something caught his eye. Footprints. Logan moved closer. But the ground there was soft enough to hold impressions, and someone had walked through it during the night. Not wandering. Watching. The tracks led just far enough into the clearing to see the cabin. then turned back. Logan crouched, studying them. Boots. Heavy, purposeful, not random. Yeah, he whispered. You weren't just passing through. Titan stepped beside him, sniffing the ground. His nose traced the path briefly, then lifted, catching the scent in the air. His body stiffened again. The same reaction, the same tension. Logan stood slowly. We're not alone up here. A distant sound broke through the quiet. An engine. Not far this time. Logan turned toward the road instinctively. Titan moved ahead of him, positioning himself slightly forward, ready. The sound grew louder, echoing between the trees. Well, then the truck appeared. Different from the one last night. Newer. Cleaner. It rolled into the clearing with quiet confidence, stopping a few yards from Logan's pickup. The engine shut off. Silence returned. Then the driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Younger than Earl. Mid-40s, maybe. Clean jacket. Dark jeans. Movements controlled. His eyes went straight to Logan. Not curious. Not surprised. Certain. Titan let out a low, warning growl. The man noticed. He stopped where he stood, raising one hand slightly, not in surrender, but in calm. No need for that, he said. His voice was smooth, measured. Logan didn't respond. He watched. The man took a few slow steps forward. You must be Logan Hayes. Not a question. Logan's eyes narrowed. Who's asking? The man gave a small smile. Name's Caleb Kane. The name hit harder than Logan expected. Kane. His mind connected it instantly. Victor Kane. The journal, the entries, everything tightened inside him. Titan's growl deepened. Caleb glanced at the dog briefly. Loyal, he said. That's good. Hard to find these days. Logan stepped forward slightly, placing himself just ahead of Titan. What do you want? Caleb's gaze shifted to the cabin. He took a slow breath, like someone revisiting a place tied to old memories. This property, he said, has a complicated history. Logan said nothing. Caleb looked back at him. I'll save you some trouble, he continued. That cabin, it's not worth anything. Logan almost smiled. Then why are you here? Caleb's expression didn't change. Because I'd like to buy it. Straightforward, clean, too clean, went. Logan crossed his arms slightly. Didn't know it was for sale. Caleb took another step closer. I'm offering a generous price, he said. More than it's worth. Enough for you to walk away comfortably. Logan studied him. Everything about the man felt controlled, calculated, like every word had been chosen before he even stepped out of the truck. Why? Logan asked. Caleb paused, just for a second. Then, sentimental reasons. Logan's jaw tightened. Try again. Caleb's eyes sharpened slightly. The first crack in the surface. Behind him, Titan shifted, sensing it. The air changed again. Tension. Subtle, but real. Caleb exhaled slowly. Let's not make this difficult, he said. You inherited something you don't understand. I'm offering you a way out before it becomes complicated. Logan took a step forward. Complicated how? Caleb held his gaze. People have an interest in that land, he said. Interests that go back a long time. Logan's mind flashed to the journal, to the entries, to the warning. They know you're here. Titan moved slightly closer, pressing against Logan's leg, grounding him. Logan didn't look away. I think I'll stay, he said. The silence that followed stretched thin. Caleb's expression didn't harden, but it cooled. A subtle shift, like a door quietly closing. "That wouldn't be my advice, Mohan," he said. Logan shrugged slightly. "Good thing I didn't ask." For a moment, neither man moved. Then Caleb nodded once. "All right." He turned, walking back toward his truck. But before he opened the door, he stopped, looked back. "You should read everything she left you," he said. "All of it." Logan's stomach tightened. Caleb's eyes flicked briefly toward the cabin, then back to Logan. She was thorough. The engine roared to life a moment later. The truck reversed slowly, then disappeared down the narrow road, swallowed again by the trees. The silence returned. But it didn't feel the same. Not empty. Not quiet. Heavy. Logan stood there for a long moment, watching the road where the truck had vanished. Then he exhaled slowly. "Yeah," he muttered. "You know more than you said." Titan remained still beside him, gaze fixed on the tree line. Not relaxed. Not even close. Logan turned back toward the cabin, toward the fireplace, toward the hidden space beneath the floor. Everything had changed now. This wasn't just about a forgotten property or a hidden journal. This was something bigger, something people were still willing to protect or bury. Logan stepped inside. The cabin felt different in daylight, less threatening, but not less dangerous. He picked up the journal again. His eyes moved across the final pages, then back to the beginning, reading it again. Slower, deeper, looking for what he missed. Titan moved back to the fireplace. Sat. Waited. As if he knew. As if he understood that whatever came next was already in motion. The day passed slowly, but it didn't ease anything. If anything, it made things worse. Logan worked in silence, reinforcing what he could, boarding up the broken window, checking the doors, moving what little furniture remained to create a clearer line of sight across the cabin. Every movement had purpose. Every step had memory behind it. And Titan followed him closely at first, then began to move ahead, checking corners, pausing at the doorway, circling the cabin's perimeter more than once. He wasn't just alert. He was preparing. Logan noticed that, and it told him everything he needed to know. By late afternoon, the sky darkened again. Clouds rolled over the mountains, heavy and low, swallowing the last of the sunlight. The temperature dropped fast. Logan lit the lantern early. The glow pushed back the shadows, but not far enough. Not nearly far enough. Inside, the cabin felt smaller now. Contained. Like something waiting to be tested. Logan sat at the table again, the journal open, but he wasn't reading anymore. His eyes drifted over the same lines, his mind somewhere else entirely. Back in the desert, back in narrow streets where every doorway was a question, where silence meant danger, where waiting meant something was coming. He rubbed his hands together slowly. "Not the same," he muttered. But his body didn't believe him. Titan moved closer, pressed his head lightly against Logan's arm, grounding him. Logan exhaled slowly. "Yeah, I know." The first sound came just after nightfall, a faint crunch. Gravel. Logan froze. Titan's head snapped toward the door instantly, his body going rigid. There it was again. Closer. Not one set of steps. More. Logan stood without thinking. Every movement automatic now. The old instincts, long buried, rose to the surface with terrifying clarity. He blew out the lantern. Darkness swallowed the room. Only the faint outline of the window remained, pale against the night. But Logan moved to the side of the door, back against the wall. Titan stayed low beside him, silent now, waiting. Another step. Then another, Whoever was outside, they weren't hiding anymore. A shadow passed briefly across the window. Logan's breathing slowed. In, hold, out. The handle moved, slow. Testing. The door didn't open. Locked. A pause. Then, a sharp jolt against the wood. Logan flinched, but only inside. His body stayed still. Another hit. Stronger. The frame creaked. Titan let out a low, controlled growl. "Easy," Logan whispered. The third hit came harder. The door held, but barely. Then silence. Complete. Logan didn't move, didn't breathe louder than necessary. The silence stretched. 1 second. 5. 10. Then, glass shattered. The side window exploded inward, and shards scattering across the floor. A figure lunged through the opening. Logan moved before the man even hit the ground. Years of training took over. He grabbed the attacker's arm, twisting hard, using momentum to drive him down. The man hit the floor with a grunt. Breath knocked from his chest. Another figure rushed the door. It burst open this time, splintering under force. Titan launched forward. Fast. Precise. He collided with the second man mid-step, knocking him off balance, driving him backward toward the doorway. A struggle. A shout. Then a sharp sound. Pain. Titan didn't let go. Logan turned back just in time to block a swing from the first attacker, the object barely missing his head. He drove his shoulder forward, forcing the man into the wall. The cabin filled with noise, movement, chaos. As for a split second, Logan wasn't in the cabin anymore. He was back in the heat, in the smoke, in the war. His vision narrowed. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Everything slowed. Every movement sharpened. He struck again, and again. The man collapsed. Still. Breathing, but not fighting. Logan turned. Titan had the second man pinned at the doorway, his teeth locked onto the man's arm, preventing him from reaching for something at his waist. The man shouted again, panic this time. "Get him off!" Logan stepped forward, grabbing the man's wrist and pulling it free. A knife clattered to the floor. Titan released immediately at Logan's command. The man scrambled backward, clutching his arm, eyes wide. "Go!" he shouted to the other one. The first attacker was already moving. They didn't try again. Didn't say another word. They ran, fast, disappearing into the darkness beyond the cabin. The silence that followed was deafening. Logan stood still, chest rising slowly. The adrenaline hit hard now, shaking, familiar, too familiar. Titan stepped back toward him, a faint limp. Logan noticed instantly. "Hey!" He crouched, checking the dog quickly. There it was, a cut along Titan's shoulder, not deep, but fresh. "Damn it!" Logan muttered. Titan didn't react, didn't whine, didn't pull away, just stood there, steady, watching Logan. Logan pressed his forehead briefly against the dog's. "You're all right," he said quietly. "You're all right." Titan's tail moved once, slow, controlled. Logan stood again, scanning the cabin. The door hung open, the window shattered, cold air pouring in, the hidden box, still there, not the journal, untouched. But something was missing. Logan's eyes moved quickly across the scattered papers. One section, gone, torn away. His jaw tightened. "They took something," he said. Titan turned toward the door again, listening. But the attackers were gone. For now. Logan stepped forward, closing the door as best he could, pushing a heavy chair against it. Then he turned back to the room, to the broken glass, to the scattered papers, to the blood. Not his. Not much. But enough. His breathing slowed again. Control returning. But the message was clear now. This wasn't a warning anymore. They weren't watching. They were acting. Logan picked up the remaining documents, stacking them carefully. protecting what was left. His eyes moved to the journal, then to the empty space where pages had been taken. "Oh, they know exactly what they're looking for," he said quietly. Titan sat beside him, still, alert. Logan looked down at him. "They're not done," he said. Titan didn't move, didn't need to, because they both knew. Tonight wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of something far more dangerous. And next time, they wouldn't come unprepared. The mountain didn't sleep. Even after the attack, even after the silence returned, something lingered in the air, like a storm that hadn't broken yet. Logan stayed awake, not by choice, by instinct. He sat near the door with Titan beside him, both of them facing the darkness outside. The broken window had been covered as best as possible with a torn piece of wood and cloth, but the cold still crept in. Titan's breathing was steady but shallow, yet the wound on his shoulder had been cleaned and wrapped. Logan had done it with care, hands steady despite the tremor that came after the adrenaline faded. "You did good," Logan whispered earlier. Titan hadn't needed the words. He never did. Hours passed. The sky began to shift again, the black of night softening just slightly at the edges. A pale gray hinted at morning somewhere beyond the mountains. Logan's eyes burned, but he didn't close them. He couldn't, because something inside him said it wasn't over. Not yet. Then, Titan's head lifted, instantly. Logan felt it before he heard it. That same shift, that same pressure. Then the smell. Smoke. Faint, but real. Logan stood. "Do you smell that?" Titan was already moving, toward the back of the cabin. Fast. Logan followed. The smell grew stronger, thicker. Yet he pushed open the back door and saw it. A thin line of smoke rising from the far side of the roof. For a second, his mind didn't catch up. Then it hit. Fire. "Damn it!" Logan ran. Around the side of the cabin, boots slipping slightly on the damp ground. The smoke thickened as he moved, turning darker, heavier. Then the flames appeared, small at first, crawling along the edge of the roof like something alive, but spreading. Fast. Too fast. "This isn't an accident," Logan muttered. Titan barked sharply. Urgent. Logan didn't hesitate. He ran back inside. Smoke had already begun to seep through the cracks, curling along the ceiling, turning the air hazy. He grabbed the journal, the remaining papers, stuffed them into a worn canvas bag. His movements were quick now, precise, with years of survival training guiding every second. "Titan!" The dog was already beside him, ready. But then, a crack. Loud, sharp. The roof above them shifted slightly. Flames had reached deeper than Logan thought. "Move!" Logan grabbed the bag and headed for the door, but Titan didn't follow. Logan turned. The dog stood near the fireplace again. The same spot, the same place where everything had begun. "Titan, now!" The dog didn't move. Instead, he barked. Not warning, not fear, insistence. Logan's heart pounded. "What is it?" Titan stepped forward, paw scraping at the floor near the loose boards. The hidden space. Logan's eyes widened. "No time!" Another crack above, louder. Flames burst through a section of the ceiling, dropping embers to the floor. Heat surged into the room. Logan hesitated, and 1 second, 2, then he moved, back to the floor. Pry bar, the loose plank. He ripped it open, reached inside. His fingers brushed something else, smaller, wrapped. He pulled it free. A second package, hidden deeper. Missed the first time. "All right, let's go." Logan turned, and the world shifted. The roof gave way. Part of it collapsed inward, flames roaring as they rushed through the opening. Heat slammed into Logan like a wall. He staggered back. The exit, blocked, partially. Burning debris scattered across the doorway. Smoke filled the air, thick and choking. Logan coughed hard, eyes watering. "Titan!" The dog moved instantly now, toward Logan, but a falling beam crashed between them. Flames surged, separating them. For a split second, everything stopped. Logan's vision narrowed, yet his chest tightened. The world tilted. Not the cabin. The desert. Smoke. Fire. Screaming. "Logan! Move!" Voices from years ago, echoing, blending with the present. His breathing spiked. Fast. Too fast. He couldn't think, couldn't see, couldn't... Then... pressure. Against his leg. Titan. The dog had found another way, pushing through the smoke, through the heat. He pressed against Logan, grounding him, pulling him back. Here. Now. Logan blinked. The cabin returned. The fire. The danger. Okay. Okay. He forced a breath. In, hold, out, control. Titan barked again, then turned, leading. Logan followed, through the side, through a section of wall that had begun to split from the heat. They pushed through together, wood snapping, air rushing in. Then, they were outside. Logan stumbled forward, dropping to one knee as he dragged in a deep breath of cold air. Behind them, the cabin burned. Fully now. Flames climbed higher, devouring the structure piece by piece. The roof collapsed inward completely. A roar filled the clearing. Logan turned slowly. Watched. Everything. Gone. The only place tied to Evelyn. The only answers he had just begun to uncover. Reduced to fire and ash. Titan stood beside him, breathing heavy, but steady. Logan reached out, gripping the dog's fur tightly. "You stayed," he said quietly. Titan didn't move, didn't pull away. They stood there together as the flames consumed what was left. The sky above began to lighten, morning arriving. Too late. Logan looked down at the bag in his hand, then at the smaller package he had pulled from beneath the floor. Whatever had been hidden, whatever they had tried to destroy, it wasn't all gone. But the message was clear. They weren't just searching anymore. They were erasing. Logan's eyes hardened slightly as he watched the fire burn. "All right," he said under his breath. Titan's ears flicked. Logan looked at him. They just made it personal. Behind them, the cabin collapsed inward completely. The final piece falling into the fire. And in the rising smoke, everything Logan had just found, everything he had just started to understand, was gone. Or so it seemed. The fire burned itself out by mid-morning. What remained of the cabin was a blackened skeleton, smoke still rising in thin, ghost-like strands. The smell of charred wood clung to the air, heavy and bitter, settling into everything. Logan stood at the edge of the ruins, unmoving. The mountain was quiet again, too quiet. Titan stayed close, his body brushing lightly against Logan's leg. His wound had stiffened overnight, but he didn't show it. He never did. Logan's eyes drifted across what used to be walls, rooms, memories he never had a chance to understand. Gone. Just like that. He let out a slow breath. "Not everything," he said quietly. His hand tightened around the canvas bag. And the smaller package, the one Titan had refused to leave behind. Logan turned away from the ruins and walked toward the truck. The engine started on the second try, the familiar rumble grounding him. They drove down the ridge slowly, gravel crunching beneath the tires. The silence inside the cab felt different now. Not empty. Focused. Logan didn't look back. He didn't need to. So by the time they reached the lower clearing near Earl Dawson's property, the sun had fully broken through the clouds. Light spilled across the valley, warm and bright, in a way that didn't match what had just happened. Earl was already outside, waiting. He stood near his fence, arms crossed, eyes fixed on Logan's truck as it approached. Logan pulled to a stop. Earl didn't speak right away. He looked at the truck, then at Logan, then at Titan. His gaze lingered on the dog's bandaged shoulder. "What happened?" Earl asked finally. Logan opened the door and stepped out. "Fire," he said simply. Earl's expression darkened. "I figured." Logan watched him carefully. "You expected it?" Earl hesitated, then nodded once. "They don't leave loose ends," he said. The words landed heavy, but Logan reached into the truck and pulled out the canvas bag. Then the smaller package, wrapped in old cloth, tied tight. Earl's eyes shifted to it. "That from the cabin?" Logan nodded. Earl took a slow step closer. "Then you better open it." Logan didn't argue. He set the package on the hood of the truck and carefully untied the cloth. Inside, a bundle of papers, smaller than the journal, older, more fragile. And at the top, a letter, folded, sealed once but now worn open by time. Logan picked it up. His fingers hesitated for just a second. Then he unfolded it. The handwriting was the same. Evelyn's. But this time, it felt different. More personal. More direct. Logan read, "If you're holding this, then everything I feared has already happened." His chest tightened. They burned the cabin. They always planned to. Logan's eyes flicked up briefly. Earl didn't move, didn't speak. Logan looked back down. "I didn't leave this for anyone else. I left it for you." Logan's breath caught slightly. For you. Not a stranger. Not a random heir, for him. He kept reading. "I couldn't keep you safe and keep the truth at the same time, so I made a choice that would cost me everything." Logan's grip tightened on the paper. A strange pressure built in his chest. "I let them believe you were gone, that you were never mine." Logan blinked. His vision shifted slightly. He read the line again, and again. "That you were never mine." Earl shifted slightly beside him. "What is it?" he asked quietly. Logan didn't answer. He couldn't. Not yet. He kept reading. "You were my son, Logan. My only child." The world went silent. Not the mountain, not the wind. Everything. Gone. Logan's hand trembled slightly. "No. That didn't make sense. That wasn't..." He read it again. "You were my son." His throat tightened. A memory flickered. Not clear. Just a feeling. A woman's voice. Soft. Distant. Gone too soon. Logan staggered back slightly, bracing himself against the truck. Earl stepped forward. "Hey." Logan shook his head. "I'm fine," he muttered. But he wasn't. He looked back at the letter. His eyes moved faster now, desperate, searching. "I couldn't protect you if they knew. Victor would have used you. He already suspected." Victor. The name hit differently now. Not just a name in a journal. A threat. A reason. "I sent you away," I told them you were gone. I let them erase you from everything. Logan closed his eyes briefly. Sent away. Is erased. All those years, all that silence. It wasn't distance, it was protection. Or at least, an attempt at it. I stayed behind to finish what I started. To make sure the truth survived, even if I didn't. Logan's breathing slowed, controlled, but heavy. I hid the evidence where only you could find it. I trusted you would. His eyes flicked to Titan, then back to the letter. I'm sorry for the life you had to live because of me, Thao, but I don't regret saving you. A tear slipped down Logan's cheek. He didn't notice, didn't wipe it away. I love you, Logan. I always have. The letter ended there. No signature. None needed. Logan lowered the paper slowly. The world returned. Sound, wind, breathing. But nothing felt the same. Earl stood beside him, silent now, understanding more than he said. That changes things, Earl murmured. Logan didn't respond. He couldn't. Not yet. His eyes drifted to the ruins far up the mountain, then to the remaining documents in the package, then back to the letter in his hand. They didn't just burn a cabin, Logan said quietly. His voice had changed, deeper, steadier. They tried to erase her. Titan stepped closer, pressing against his leg again. Logan rested a hand on the dog's head. Grounding. Familiar. Real. He took a slow breath. Then another. Control returning. They don't get to do that, Logan said. Earl looked at him. Something new in his eyes. Respect. Maybe something more. Logan folded the letter carefully, placed it back in the cloth, then picked up the rest of the papers. His gaze sharpened, focused, purpose. They wanted this gone, he said. Which means it matters. Titan's ears lifted slightly. Logan looked down at him. We finish it. The wind moved through the valley again, carrying the last traces of smoke down from the mountain. Behind them, the road stretched back toward town. Ahead of them, something else waited. Not hidden, not buried, but still unfinished. And this time, Logan wasn't just searching for answers. He was fighting for the truth his mother died protecting. The mountains felt different now. Not quieter, not calmer, sharper. Every sound carried farther. Every shadow seemed to hold meaning. Logan noticed things he might have missed before. The angle of broken branches, the way the wind shifted between ridges, the silence in places where there should have been birds. He drove higher again that afternoon. Not back to the ruins. Not yet. But this time, he followed the ridgeline beyond it, deeper into Red Hollow. The road faded quickly into little more than a narrow trail carved by time and weather. Earl had tried to stop him. You've done enough, the old man had said. Take what you've got and go to the authorities. Logan had shaken his head. They already tried to erase it once, he said. I'm not handing it over half-finished. Earl didn't argue after that. He just looked at Titan, then back at Logan. Then don't go alone, he said quietly. Logan hadn't answered. He didn't need to. He was never alone. Titan sat upright in the passenger seat again, his posture different now. Not just alert, focused. His eyes scanned constantly, reading something Logan couldn't see. They reached the end of the trail just before dusk. The truck couldn't go any farther. Logan shut off the engine. Silence. Deep. Unbroken. He grabbed the canvas bag, slung it over his shoulder, and stepped out. Titan followed immediately. The ground here was uneven, scattered with loose rock and thick roots pushing up through the soil. The trees grew closer together, their branches weaving overhead like a ceiling. Logan took a few steps forward, then stopped. "This is it," he murmured. Not because he saw anything, but because Titan did. The dog had already moved ahead, nose low, tracing a path that didn't exist to the human eye. Logan watched him for a moment, then followed. They moved slowly through the forest, step by step. No trail, no markers, just instinct. Titan paused occasionally, adjusting direction slightly, then continued forward with quiet certainty. Logan trusted him, more than anything else in this place. The light began to fade as they climbed higher, the sun slipping behind the ridge. Shadows stretched long between the trees, turning the forest into a maze of dark shapes and shifting outlines. Logan's breathing stayed steady, controlled. But his senses were sharp now. Every sound, every movement, he heard it all. A branch snapping in the distance, the rustle of something moving far off, the wind pushing through the trees in slow, uneven waves. Then, Titan stopped. Logan nearly walked into him. "What is it?" The dog stood still, ears forward, body tense, not afraid, focused. Logan stepped beside him and saw it. At first, it didn't look like anything, just a slope of rock, partially covered by dirt and moss. But then, the shape emerged, too straight, too deliberate, at a line where nature didn't belong. Logan stepped closer, brushed away some of the dirt with his hand. Metal, cold, hidden beneath years of earth. His pulse quickened. "This is it." Titan let out a low sound, not quite a growl, not quite a warning. Logan cleared more of the surface. A door, old, military grade, reinforced, half buried, a bunker. He leaned back slightly, taking it in. This wasn't random. This wasn't just a hiding place. This had been planned, carefully, deliberately. Evelyn hadn't just hidden documents. She had built something to protect them. Logan looked at Titan. "You led us here." The dog didn't react. He just watched, waiting. Logan stepped forward and grabbed the handle. It resisted at first, then gave, slow, heavy. The door creaked open with a long, low groan. Darkness waited inside, cold, still, untouched. Logan pulled a flashlight from his bag and clicked it on. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a narrow set of steps leading down. Concrete, solid, intact. He hesitated for just a second. Then, he stepped inside. Titan followed without question. The air changed immediately, cooler, drier, preserved. Logan descended slowly, each step echoing softly. The beam of light moved across the walls. No decay, no collapse. This place had been sealed, protected. At the bottom, the space opened into a small room, and Logan stopped. Shelves lined the walls, boxes, files, organized, cataloged, not random, systematic. Evelyn had prepared this. Every piece of evidence she had gathered was here, untouched. Logan stepped forward slowly, his breath catching slightly, when he opened the nearest box. Inside, documents, stacks of them, more detailed than anything in the journal. Transaction records, names, dates, signatures, proof, real proof. Logan's mind raced. This wasn't just enough to expose one man. This could bring down everything connected to him. Titan moved through the room quietly, checking every corner, every shadow. Then, he stopped. Near the far wall, Logan turned. "What is it?" Titan stood still, not growling, not tense, just focused. Logan moved closer, followed the dog's gaze. There, another box, smaller, separate from the others. Logan crouched and opened it. Inside, photographs, old, faded. He picked one up. A woman stood in front of the cabin, younger, stronger, eyes sharp, determined. Evelyn, but not as a memory, as a person. Real, alive. Aunt Logan swallowed. His hand trembled slightly as he flipped to the next photo. A child. Small. Standing beside her. Blurry. But familiar. Logan's breath caught. That's him. He stared at it, trying to remember, trying to find something, anything, that connected him to that moment. But it was gone, all of it, erased by time or by choice. Titan stepped closer, pressing lightly against his side. Logan exhaled slowly. Then, a sound, faint, above them. Logan froze. Titan's head snapped toward the stairs. The same shift, the same tension. Someone was there. Logan stood, his grip tightened. They followed us, he said quietly. Titan moved in front of him, ready. Logan looked back at the shelves, at the evidence, at the truth his mother had died protecting. Then back toward the stairs. Whatever came next. There was no turning back now. Because this time, they weren't just being watched. They were being hunted. The sound above came again, closer. Gravel shifting. A footstep. Careful, controlled, but not careful enough. Logan moved instantly. "Lights off," he whispered. The flashlight clicked out. Darkness swallowed the bunker. Only the faint outline of the stairwell remained, a pale gray cut into black. Titan didn't make a sound, but Logan could feel him. Just ahead, body low, weight balanced, ready. Logan stepped back from the shelves, positioning himself just to the side of the stairwell, where the wall would break his silhouette. His breathing slowed. In, hold, out. The same rhythm that had kept him alive years ago. The same rhythm that was back now. Above, the bunker door creaked, one metal scraping. Slow, deliberate. They knew exactly where they were. A beam of light cut down the stairs. Flashlight. Sweeping. Searching. Logan stayed still. Invisible. The light moved across the walls, across the floor, across the shelves, then down the steps. A man appeared. Heavy boots, dark jacket, weapon in hand, not raised, but ready. He moved like someone who had done this before. Professional, not reckless like the ones from the cabin. Logan's eyes narrowed. More footsteps followed. 2 more. They weren't here to search. They were here to end it. Titan shifted slightly, just enough for Logan to feel it. Wait. Logan's muscles tightened. The first man reached the bottom step, paused, looked around. The beam of light flicked across the shelves again. Then, "Clear," the man muttered. "The hunt." Logan's jaw tightened. They thought they had time. That was their mistake. The second man started down, then the third. All inside now, all focused forward. Logan moved, fast, silent. He stepped behind the last man, grabbing his shoulder and pulling him back hard. The man lost balance instantly, crashing into the wall before he could react. Titan launched at the same moment, a blur of muscle and precision. He collided with the second man, knocking the weapon from his hand, driving him to the ground. The first man spun. Too late. Logan struck. Not wild, not angry, precise, controlled. The kind of movement that ended fights quickly. The man staggered, recovered, raised his weapon, and fired. The shot echoed through the bunker, loud, deafening. Logan felt the rush of air as the bullet passed close, too close. Then, a force hit him from the side, Hard. He stumbled. Fell. Titan. The dog had slammed into him, knocking him off balance, out of the line of fire. Logan hit the ground, vision shaking. Another shot rang out, then silence. Logan pushed himself up. Titan! The dog was down. Still. Logan's chest tightened violently. No! 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 He crawled forward. Titan lay on his side, breathing, but shallow. Too shallow. A dark stain spread across his fur. Logan's hands shook as he pressed against it. Stay with me. Stay with me. Behind him, movement. The first man, still standing, weapon raised again. Logan turned, his vision tunneled, everything narrowed. The bunker, the man, the weapon, the threat. Something inside him snapped. Not fear, not panic. Something deeper. Years of restraint, of silence, but of holding everything in. Gone. Logan moved, faster than before, harder. He closed the distance before the man could react, knocking the weapon aside, driving him backward into the wall. The man tried to fight back. But Logan didn't stop, didn't hesitate. Every strike was controlled, every movement deliberate, until the man dropped. Still, not moving. The bunker fell silent again, except for one sound. Titan's breathing. Logan turned instantly, dropping beside him. Hey! Hey! His voice cracked. He didn't care. Titan's eyes were open, focused, on Logan, still watching him, still there. You're not done, Logan said, pressing harder against the wound. You hear me? You're not done. Titan's tail moved slightly. Once. Weak. But there. Logan swallowed hard. We're getting you out of here. He moved quickly now, grabbing the nearest cloth, tearing it, wrapping it tight around the wound, stopping the bleeding as best he could. His hands were steady again. They had to be. Stay with me, he said again. Titan didn't look away. Never did. Logan stood, lifting the dog carefully. Titan didn't resist, didn't make a sound, just stayed close. Logan turned toward the shelves. The evidence, the truth, everything Evelyn had hidden, everything they had tried to destroy. He couldn't leave it. Not again. Not now. He grabbed what he could, files, drives, anything small enough to carry, stuffed them into the bag, then turned back to the stairs. The way out. The light above was fading. Dusk again, time slipping. Logan took a breath, then climbed. Step by step. Titan in his arms. The weight real. The responsibility heavier. They reached the top. The forest greeted them again. Cold. Silent. But different now. Logan stepped out fully, scanning the area. No movement. No sound. But he didn't trust it. Not anymore. He moved quickly down the slope, back toward the truck. Every step mattered now. Every second. Titan's breathing stayed shallow, but steady, still fighting. Logan reached the truck, opened the door, carefully laid Titan across the seat. Stay with me, he said again. The engine roared to life. Logan didn't wait. The truck tore down the mountain path, gravel spraying behind it as he pushed faster than before. Not cautious, not controlled, just fast. Because this time, it wasn't about the truth. It wasn't about the past. But it was about the one thing he couldn't lose. The one thing that had never left him. And as the truck raced down the mountain, Logan's grip tightened on the wheel. Because this time, the war wasn't in his head anymore. It was real. And it had just taken its first real shot. The truck roared down the mountain, tires slipping on loose gravel as Logan pushed harder than he should have. But he didn't slow down. Couldn't. Every second mattered. Titan lay across the passenger seat, his body rising and falling in shallow breaths. The makeshift bandage was already darkened, but it held. Barely. Logan kept one hand on the wheel, the other reaching over, resting against Titan's side. "Stay with me," he said again. His voice was steady, but tight, controlled, like everything else inside him. The forest blurred past in streaks of shadow and fading light. The sky had turned a deep blue now, the last traces of sun disappearing behind the ridges. Logan didn't think about the road, didn't think about the danger. Only one thing mattered: getting Titan help. Lights appeared ahead, faint at first, then clearer. Earl's place. Logan slammed the brakes harder than necessary, the truck skidding slightly before coming to a stop. He jumped out. "Earl!" The door to the small house opened almost immediately. Earl stepped out, already moving. He saw Titan, and everything changed. "Inside," Earl said. "Now." No questions, no hesitation. Logan carried Titan in carefully, laying him down on a worn wooden table. Earl moved fast, pulling supplies from drawers, clearing space, his hands steady despite the urgency. "What happened?" Earl asked. Logan didn't answer right away. "They found the bunker," he said finally. Earl paused for just a fraction of a second, then nodded. "I figured they would." Logan watched as Earl worked, cleaning the wound, checking for damage, stopping the bleeding properly this time. Titan didn't move much, but his eyes stayed open, locked on Logan. Always. "You're lucky," Earl muttered. "Missed anything vital?" Logan exhaled slowly, a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "He's strong," Earl added. Logan nodded. "I know." Time passed differently after that. Slower, heavier. The chaos of the mountain gave way to something quieter, controlled. Titan's breathing steadied. Not normal, but better. Enough. Logan sat beside him, one hand resting gently against his neck, grounding, connected. But for the first time since the bunker, he let himself feel it. The weight, the fear, the anger. "They were waiting," Logan said quietly. Earl didn't look up. Of course they were. Logan's eyes drifted toward the bag he had brought in. The evidence. Still there. Still safe. "They tried to burn everything," Logan continued. "Then they came for what was left." Earl finished wrapping the wound and stepped back. "They've been doing that a long time," he said. Logan looked at him. "What do you know about Victor Kane?" Earl hesitated. "Not long, but enough." "More than I wanted to," he said. Logan leaned forward slightly. "Then start talking." Earl sighed, pulled up a chair. "Victor Kane wasn't just some accountant," he said. "He built something, a network, all money meant for veterans, families, people who needed it most. It disappeared." Logan's jaw tightened. "Evelyn found it." Earl nodded. "She wasn't supposed to, but she did, and she didn't stay quiet." Logan's grip on Titan tightened slightly. "What happened to her?" Earl's eyes darkened. "They buried her name," he said. "Not just her work. Her existence. Records changed. Stories rewritten." Logan's chest tightened again. "She wasn't just exposing theft," Earl continued. "She was exposing people who didn't want to be exposed." Logan looked down at Titan, then back at Earl. "It's all in the bunker," he said. "Everything she saved." Earl nodded slowly. "Then you've got something they can't ignore." Logan leaned back slightly. The pieces were coming together now. Not just a story, not just a mystery. Proof. Real and dangerous. Then we don't hide it, Logan said. Earl raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? Logan met his gaze. They've already made their move, he said. Now it's ours. Silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable, just heavy with what came next. Earl stood, walked to an old phone on the wall. You planning to call the police? He asked. Logan shook his head. Not just them. Earl looked back. Logan's eyes were different now. Clear. Focused. They buried her once, Logan said. We make sure it doesn't happen again. Earl studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod. All right. Hours passed. Calls were made. Carefully. Strategically. Not just local. State. Media. People who couldn't ignore what was coming. By morning, it had started. News spread fast, faster than Logan expected. Names, documents, connections. Everything Evelyn had hidden was finally out. And this time, it didn't stay buried. By midday, police vehicles moved up the mountain. Not quietly, not hidden, public, visible. By afternoon, the name Kane was everywhere. Victor Kane, Caleb Kane. Questions being asked, answers demanded. Logan stood outside Earl's house, watching it unfold from a distance. The mountain didn't feel the same anymore. Not hidden, not silent. Exposed. Titan lay just inside the doorway, resting now, alive, still fighting. Logan stepped back inside, kneeling beside him. You did it, he said quietly. Titan's tail moved once. Logan smiled slightly, for the first time in days. Then, a car pulled up outside, different from the others. Official. Logan stood, stepped outside. A uniformed officer approached, respectful, careful. Mr. Hayes? He asked. Logan nodded. We're going to need a statement, the officer said, and everything you recovered. Logan glanced back at the house, at Titan, at the bag, then back at the officer. You'll get it, he said. All of it. The officer nodded. Good. Logan watched him for a moment, then turned back toward the mountains, toward Red Hollow, toward the place where it all started. It was over. Or at least, it was supposed to be. But Logan knew better. Things like this didn't end clean, didn't end quiet. But for now, the truth was out, and that was something they could never take back. Not anymore. The mountains looked different in the morning light. Not because they had changed, but because Logan had. Snow still clung to the higher ridges of Red Hollow, glowing gold under the rising sun. The forest stood quiet, as it always had, tall pines stretching toward a sky that didn't care about secrets, or lies, or men like Victor Kane. For the first time in a long time, Logan wasn't listening for danger. He was just standing, breathing. Beside him, Titan leaned gently against his leg. The bandage along his side was clean now, carefully replaced that morning. He moved slower than before, each step measured, but his eyes were the same. Sharp, aware, present, alive. Logan rested a hand on his back. We made it, he said quietly. Titan's tail moved once. It was enough. A year had passed. Not quickly, not easily, but steadily, like everything worth surviving. The old cabin was gone. Nothing left but blackened wood and a stone foundation buried beneath time and ash. Oh, for a while Logan had stayed away. Couldn't look at it. couldn't stand where it had burned. But time had a way of shifting things, not erasing them, just reshaping them. Now, something stood there again. Not the same, not even close, but stronger, cleaner, intentional. The new structure rose from the ground where the old cabin once stood, built from thick timber and reinforced steel, designed to last, to hold, to protect. Wide windows faced the valley, letting in sunlight that filled every corner of the space. Inside, warmth lived again, not just from fire, from purpose. A wooden sign stood near the entrance, carved by hand. Hayes Haven. Logan traced the letters once, his fingers slow, then stepped back. Behind him, a truck pulled up, then another, and another. Men stepped out, some older, some younger, some walking strong, others slower, careful. Each one carrying something invisible, the same thing Logan had carried for years. War. Silence. Wait. They looked around, unsure at first, not certain what they were stepping into. Logan walked toward them, steady, grounded. "Welcome," he said. No speech, no long explanation, just one word. But it was enough. One of the men nodded. Another gave a small smile. Titan moved forward slowly, approaching them one by one. Not rushing, not overwhelming, just present. A quiet connection. A reminder. You're not alone. Inside, the space had been prepared. Simple beds, a kitchen, a long wooden table, a fireplace already burning. No luxury, but no emptiness either. A place to stay, a place to breathe, a place to come back from wherever they'd been lost. But Logan watched as they stepped inside, some hesitant, some relieved, all of them carrying stories that hadn't been told. Not yet. But here, they didn't have to hide them. Earl stood nearby, leaning against the railing, watching it all unfold. "You really did it," he said. Logan glanced at him. "Wasn't just me." Earl nodded toward Titan. "Yeah," he said. "I figured." Titan lay down near the doorway, exactly where he could see everything. Always watching, always ready, but calm, for the first time, not waiting for something to go wrong. Logan walked to the edge of the clearing, looking out over the valley. The same valley he had stood above months ago. But now, it didn't feel like a place to escape. It felt like a place to return. The wind moved gently through the trees. No tension, no warning, just sound. Just life. Logan took a breath, deep, full, and let it out slowly. Behind him, voices began to rise, quiet at first, then more. Conversation, laughter, small, but real. He turned back, watched them, watched something begin. Not perfect, not complete, but real. Titan lifted his head, eyes finding Logan again. Always. Logan walked back over, kneeling beside him. His hand rested against the dog's neck, fingers brushing gently through his fur. The scar was still there. It would always be there. A reminder of what had been lost and what had been protected. "You did good," Logan said softly. Titan's eyes didn't move, didn't need to. Logan looked up, toward the mountains, toward everything that had led him here. His voice was quiet, but steady. "We made it home, Mom." The wind carried the words away, up into the trees, into the open sky, and for the first time in years, Logan Hayes wasn't running from the past. He was standing in something new, something built from it, something that would last. A place where the broken didn't have to stay broken. A place where loyalty meant something, where truth stayed alive, where no one was forgotten. And at the edge of it all, a man and his dog, still standing, still together, exactly where they were meant to be. If this story meant something to you, if you believe loyalty like that still exists, I want you to do something simple. Just comment the number 1 below. That's it. No long message, no explanation. Just a 1. So I know you were here, watching till the end. And if you've ever had someone, a friend, a dog, a person, who stayed when the world walked away, comment 2. Well, let's see how many of us understand what that really means. And if you want more stories like this, stories about loyalty, survival, and the kind of bond that never breaks, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because the next story might hit even deeper, and you won't want to miss it.